Hello and welcome to Storytelling Live. Tonight I've got something kind of special for you. It's a story I've been working on. And I won't write the title down, but I'll tell you the title right now. Hassan Believed. Yeah, that's right. Hassan Believed. Sounds kind of religious, right? That's good. Hassan believed in routine. Hassan believed in the reliability, in the security of routine. And he believed he could play with routine. And he believed he could manipulate routine. And that's the premise for this story. Was he successful? In a way, he was. What do you need to know for this story? My good friend, lives in Tamri, Morocco. And this takes place in Tamri because I spent, I don't know, it was almost a week there. I had a great time with my friend. And I remember they sell a lot of bananas. Not just bananas. Oh, definitely not Cavendish. That's what we get a lot in our country is Cavendish. It's a bizarre monocrop. In any case, they grow the different kinds of bananas, and especially these smaller ones. They're very sweet and wonderful. So those figure into tonight's story. North of Tamri is a little town called Smimu. Tonight, very short, very, very, very short. We are under 2,000 words in tonight's tale. Approximately 1898 words. And I hope you enjoy tonight's offering. Nobody's ever heard it before. I'm reading it tonight because it helps me, as I've described to you before. So this is, I think it's done, but we'll find out probably after, I'll find out after I read it to you tonight. Thank you for listening to Hassan Believed. Hassan believed that if he lifted his teacup and dropped it, and set it down, maybe we shouldn't say dropped it, 10 times in a row, at the same hour, every day, the teacup would lift and drop on its own by mere force of nature habituating itself to a consistent environment. One day, after 2 years of lifting and dropping his teacup, Hassan finally ventured out of Tamri. He went to Smimu to watch over his dear father, who was fighting pneumonia with nothing but thé vert, which is very traditional Moroccan tea. It's a green tea. They call it green tea because it actually is green tea. Do you know what gunpowder tea is? Have I told you this before? Gunpowder tea is a traditional Chinese tea. It's a green tea, not a black tea, I believe. And it's the leaves, each leaf is rolled up in little balls. And traditionally it's used, the gunpowder tea is used. You brew that up and you stick in fresh mint and a couple blocks of sugar, cubes of sugar. Mix that up and you have your thé vert. Fresh peppermint, hot gunpowder tea, and enough sugar to satisfy the most discerning sweet tooth that you know. He went to Smimu to watch over his dear father who was fighting pneumonia with nothing but thé vert, fresh ginger, and honey. He left his neighbor, Mehdi, in charge of looking through his kitchen window to peer at the table. Mehdi said of course he would help out gladly. He had a fine view of Hassan's window by sitting on his own garden wall. He smoked cigarettes and drank dark, sweet coffee from a small, clear glass with faded gold patterns on it. He watched carefully each day, 15 minutes at a time, for a week straight. After that, he would shuffle down to the market to tend to his coffee stand until well past dark. During that week, he did see Hassan's teacup lift and drop on its own. On 3 of those 7 days, he declared it a miracle. He told the people at his stand. They all agreed it was more likely the work of the Ifrit. Ifrit are dark spirits. So it's like possessed. He placed a call to Hassan from the tobacco store in town. Mehdi lit a cigarette and listened. Hassan's voice crackled over the wire and exclaimed with joy that, no, he had not bargained with Lala Khandisha. No, his house was safely far enough from the river and especially the ocean that boils and crashes under the cliffs outside of town. Mehdi shook his head, amused, and hung up once the salutations were exchanged. Long live your dear father. May you persist in good health under the protection of God. Take good care of yourself. He turned to the people waiting behind him and said that it was in no way a deal with the devil. This cup really did move on its own. A few gasped. 3 people went home immediately to begin their own patient experiments. Perhaps it had to do with the sunlight and the hour. Maybe it had to do with the correct angle of sunlight. They stood outside Hassan's kitchen window and took measurements. How high was that window? On which corner of the table had he left the cup? A cup in a saucer or no saucer? It was not clear which were the exact conditions. People from the coffee stand would arrive early to witness the event. Mehdi began offering coffee to them. Saad, a banana vendor, showed up. They bought bananas and sipped strong coffee. They wouldn't see it every day, but when they did, they all guffawed in joy and clinked their tiny glasses. They left money, small change from their pockets. Hassan's father was not recovering quickly. Mehdi said, No worries, my dear, everything is fine and under control. You take your time. He began selling coffee on the garden wall from dawn until 10:30 a.m. When he would have to leave to tend the stand, some of the group would walk along with him. Sometimes they'd catch a ride on a cargo truck or saddle up with the scooter brigade. They would laugh and report on the miraculous cup haunted by evil spirits that rose and fell every day on its own in the morning. But it was Hassan's cup, and he wanted his cup back. He wanted his life back. He began looking for answers to help cure his father with Ernest, the pharmacist of Smimu, recommended an antibiotic. His father wouldn't take it. He said herbs were what he wanted, herbs. So he asked around and found an herbalist who recommended a tea made of thyme, mint, fenugreek, saffron, and ginger. The tea was to be taken with fresh garlic. The garlic was to be chewed raw. The tea was to steep for 40 minutes. He left the bun in charge of the tea. A bun is a French word. Bun, not a B-U-N in English, but B-O-N-N-E. It's like a maid. Kind of like a maid, but her role is different. A little bit, and just not quite like a maid in the United States. More like someone from the city who comes to help around the house. Most everyone is poor, but this person's from a family that's very, 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 very poor. And before she gets married, she'll go to the house, someone's house, and help with cooking and stuff like that for money for the family. or for herself. So he leaves the bun in charge of the tea. The garlic was to be chewed raw. The tea was to steep for 40 minutes. He left the bun in charge of the tea. She made the tea and fed his father plain bread with triangular cheese wrapped in foil and chunks of raw garlic on it. Hassan made his own tea and thought of his teacup, his kitchen table, his kitchen, and his whole house. He longed for his dull life and routine. He looked forward to being home again. He ate some bread with the triangular cheese and raw garlic. It was good. With this and fresh fruit, thought Hassan. Certainly father would get well soon. He was already feeling better. He held his father's hand and bid him goodbye. When Hassan returned to his house, there were photographers waiting in the yard and a crowd of 10 people standing along Mehdi's garden wall. Mehdi was not there. He was at the coffee stand. These people were experimenters and felt the urgent need to discover more about Hassan's experience with the teacup from all perspectives of the kitchen window. A reporter hastily asked him questions as he walked up the path and entered his key into the door. No, yes, no, certainly not. No, I do not believe in Satan. Yes, ask anyone. I'm just like anyone else in this neighborhood. No, I do not have a family of my own. Sorry. Okay, that's really enough. Thank you, goodbye. And then he sat down at the table and looked out the window. 20 eyes peered in at him. Their eyes narrowed as his hand moved toward the teacup to fill it. He decided to leave it there and took out a tall glass he used for juice. They hopped off the wall. A few came knocking. So they weren't standing, they were sitting. They hopped off the wall. A few came knocking. He welcomed them in. They took measurements of the kitchen and asked him about the Ifrit. No Ifrit, just routine. Routine! Hassan, your breath smells strongly of garlic, they said. Are you possessed by the devil? What? He kicked them all out. Everybody out! Out! Mehdi came by a few days later to apologize for whatever he could muster. He had no idea how it all gathered force like that. But it was quite a sensation. An excellent story to tell and share, and people would come from all over. Maybe Hassan could make a business out of it? No. He craved his old privacy. Would he continue to lift his teacup? No, probably not. Maybe not. But forces of routine are difficult to break. One cannot immediately sever oneself from the familiar without a transitional period, at least. And that's what a few people were waiting for. Saad, the banana vendor, who had been there many days observing the phenomenon, was among them. He figured he could think through the matter in a single sitting. He knew people. He knew human nature. He knew Mother Nature. He perched on the wall with the coffee group. And what he saw there, he would not have believed if he had not seen it with his own 2 eyes. Hassan sat there reading the morning paper. And lo and behold, on the other side of his paper, unbeknownst to Hassan, his teacup lifted and dropped 3 times in a row. Saad now saw it clearly. Others had checked Hassan's house for wires. There were none, so he was forced to discount Hassan acting as if he was ignorant while orchestrating the entire event. He noticed something else as well. Near about 5 minutes before the teacup would rise and drop, his upstairs neighbor would let the cat through the window. The cat, whose name was Mnu, would sun herself and watch the birds flit on the trees, watch the watchers sipping coffee and muttering on the wall, and eventually she would jump down to a branch, then a ledge, to access the alley below. This was actually the magical event of the morning. Depending on how much sun she had absorbed, depending on her anxiousness to explore the shady alley and hunt rodents or whatever else cats do on their morning rounds, this first jump was the key to the amazing phenomenon that had transfixed Mehdi's friends for the past few months. As Saad observed all that was occurring around him, the others were barreling their eyes through Hassan's kitchen window, waiting for the phenomenon. But above, due to the passage of Mnu's 4 legs and tail, thereby casting a shadow, ever so subtle, and interrupting the sunshine landing on the table. On certain days, the effect made the cup look like it would leave its saucer and then land again. It was uncanny. Saad went back a few times after to confirm his new theory, and it worked out. Yes, Mnu was the mastermind. He kept his reactions subtle. He did not tell us so. He left a batch of bananas at Hassan's door every time he came to watch. Hassan came by Saad's stand to thank him. No worries. It's my pleasure, Hassan. I believe what you believe. You need your privacy back. Routine is a blessing. Yes, routine is God's will. It is our way to honor ourselves and our ancestors. If I may make one recommendation to you, my dear, please never place your cup on the same corner as you normally do. Leave it anywhere but there. Or if you do want to leave it there, do not do so every day. Your life will become less complicated. Of course, you may have a banana or two from my stand anytime you like, my friend. They became closer in friendship after this. From then on, Hassan moved his cup around the table. A film student at the university came to shoot Hassan's teacup for a month for a school project. No one was vending at the garden wall. He had to bring his own coffee and bananas. He took some film and one photo at the same hour every day and documented the teacup's migration around the kitchen table and the sun's migration in the heavens. Day over day, it became a stylized stop-motion animation. He played at the film festival of Marrakesh. The crowd loved it. It was so simple and beautiful. The colors were luscious, live action, than a still frame. There were clouds and no clouds, bright light and dim light, and sometimes there were birds in the air reflected in the window. His window and frame became a photographic surface. It functioned as a palimpsest of still life in 2 directions, the inner world and the outer world, framed by the dusky white sill. It was an artistic salute to nature, to routine, to cozy life, to the home. Over time, the watchers sitting on the wall dissipated. It was confirmed that Hassan's teacup would not be the same as it was, or if it was to be, then one might have to wait a month or 2 for the conditions to be absolutely aligned and perfect. That was exactly what Hassan desired, to have his morning tea in private again, with his window returned to its original nature and function, bringing only sunshine to his mornings. He was reunited with his routine. He promised himself not to exploit that again by creating a new experiment. Hassan's father fully regained his health, and never, in their wildest dreams, Would anyone but Saad have ever guessed the magical powers of Manu, the upstairs cat? That's it. Very short tonight. Thank you for your patience while I rewrite the thing, edit it. It's dark now. It won't be dark for long. I have some other cool episodes planned for you. I hope you're all good and safe and that you're getting the vaccine, or if you're not, then just be healthy. I wish you all great health. And if you're having trouble fighting an infection, think about the tea I mentioned. It might actually work. It is thyme, mint, fenugreek for coughing, saffron for joy, and ginger for the immune system. Thyme and ginger, yeah. Mint also for sinus. Thyme and ginger work to lower a body's temperature, and fresh garlic kills infection. It's like a natural antibiotic or antiseptic. So maybe you'll try that. Thank you so much for your company and for continuing to watch this series. For now, good night.